I wrote Human by myself at my piano in my apartment. After scrolling through Instagram and watching all of these videos of violence, it was incredibly traumatizing and triggering. It wasn't the best time, especially to be cooped up and locked down at home, and this is all you see on social media. So it was inevitable that it would hit me emotionally. And at the time, my piano was right next to my bed. I was living in a small 1-bedroom in LA, and so I just hopped over to the piano and just tried to start writing something. There are so many ways that I start writing a song. You've got the musical element. Well, you've got the harmony, you've got the melody, and then you've got the lyrics. And so sometimes, I remember back in high school, I would just write. I would free write. I would either free write like paragraph stories, or I'd free write a poem. Regardless, I would write the whole story and then try and set it to music. Sometimes I'll just start at the piano to a nice progression and then set lyrics that way. It's always a different experience. For this one, I believe it happened quite organically. I love a drone. I love an open fifth. And I just sat at the piano and just started just playing this. And why I chose B major, I have no idea. But it just felt right, and it still feels right. I think the open fifth and like this repetition reminds you of church. It reminds you of, it allows you to express and be emotive, and also, it gives you so much space to just emote whatever you want to say, whether it be positive, negative, whatever it is. And so I just kept this going. And you'll notice from the first lyric, "Nobody knows the trouble I've seen," is a spiritual. And so starting the song off that way was simultaneously an ode to Black culture and exactly what I wanted to say. No, you may not know who I am, you may not know what my background is, but what I tell you of my experience, you should be able to trust me. And that seems to be the root of a lot of the issues in America right now. There's no trust. People are pleading for their lives. They're trying to tell you their experiences as honestly as possible. And even with video evidence, it's still not enough to trust, which is incredibly unfair. And so those first few phrases just kind of happen. And though nobody knows the trouble I've seen, I know my words should be enough just to lay it out clean. Oh, but in a world where I know they're out to get me, words aren't enough. Words aren't enough. And the melody itself is very folky. I love folk music. I don't know how I came around to it, but luckily I came around to folk music and I love it. I think the open fifth is very characteristic of folk music, and the moving melody throughout the whole scale. Because you have so much space with just playing the 1 to 5, you have space to justify any other note changes. So that's what's really cool about this musical idea as well. And I don't know, it's a very easy progression. Go from 1 to 5 with the 3 in the bass, the 6, back to 5, back to home. And so of course, that's when I decided to bring in the bass for the second verse. And I'll take to the streets, go vigilante. And I pull out the one thing that I hate on me. I took my phone and I showed you the truth on a video screen. Exactly what I was saying. Still not enough. I keep trying to tell you the truth and it's still not enough. And then sometimes when you are writing pop songs, because even though I have many musical influences that I draw from, I like to bring it back to pop at the end of the day. And it's really hard to do that, but I'm trying to find my voice, as is everybody. But when you're writing a pop song, I feel like the pre-chorus and the bridge are always like really difficult because you need to determine if there's still more to say. If there is more to say, great. If there is no more to say, be really like careful about how you do it, because you could run the risk of saying too much, saying things that are unnecessary, and then you kind of lose the listener. But I felt like I wanted to say something else, just really short. And I landed on, how hard is it to show me empathy when you know there's no difference between you and me, is pretty much the whole reason why I wrote this song. So we've been staying around 1, 5, 6 for a while. So I wanted to just change it harmonically at the pre. Ha ha, oops. Ha ha, so going to 4 is show me empathy. 6 to 5, there's no difference between you and me. You can't take my life unless you wanna take yours. This chorus, I think I wrote it out first. I just figured out my rhyme scheme. And then I knew that I wanted to have space. At first, I believe I just kept everything in 4. Take my life unless you wanna take yours. You can't change my mind from the truth that I know. And I was like, okay, I think I've been here too long, so let me just cut out a beat and make it in 7 instead. And if I hold out the chords, I'll feel the space. So I don't need to keep the rhythm the whole time. Let me just hold out the chords, let them ring. Change my life unless you wanna take yours. You can't change my mind from the truth that I know. Oh, you can't choose to be blind like invisible. So, yeah, that's how I came around to doing the chorus in 7. That wasn't the original idea. Originally, it was still in 4, but I felt like I was just allowing too much space, so I cut out a bar. Unfortunately, though, this is, of course, a very nerdy moment, but usually when you're in a bar of 7, you feel it in a bar of 4 and a bar of 3, or a bar of 3 and then a bar of 4. And musically, you'll understand which way you want to feel it. Most times, I don't know that you feel a bar of 7 as 7 beats. You usually like to cut it in half somehow. And so I think the first phrase, you can't change my life when you want to take on, I think I feel in 4 and 3, but the other 2 phrases I feel in 3 and 4. And so a lot of times when I do this live, especially if it's just me at the piano, I will accidentally play the first phrase in 2 bars of 4 and forget the fact that I wrote this whole thing in 7. I only kept the chorus in 7 to keep things symmetrical. I mean, what's the point of having 2 bars of 4 and then 2 bars of 7? It's just too much. So I was like, let me consolidate, keep this all in 7. So we've got the chorus and the post. I also wanted to feel like there was a lot of space. I was on this not just in 4 trip. So by the time I got to human, you know I'm human, human, I'm human, human, I'm human, human, I'm human, human. 6 just felt right to me. If I did it in 4, it'd sound like human, human. You know I'm human, human. Yeah. I'm human. So just because you're writing a pop song that's usually in some symmetrical meter like 4/4. I don't necessarily think that means you need to fill out all the space. When you're writing a song, you set the rules, and in this case, 2 bars of 4 just didn't feel right to me, and so I just cut out 2 beats and made it a bar of 6/4, and that's what felt right. So you've got a chorus and a post-chorus that starts in 7 and then goes to 6, but because that's the only space you need, it doesn't feel like you're in a bunch of odd meters here. And yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't remember the exact like order of events when I was writing the song, but I think I started writing the song with the idea of, you know, I'm human. So by the time I got to the end of the chorus, I knew I wanted to continue with, you know, I'm human. And so that's pretty much the whole song. The second verse, you know, a lot of times when you're writing a pop song, you want to establish your idea, and then when you come back to the second verse, you want to just be careful about how much more you say, because you don't want to say too much or say or offer what doesn't even need to be said. So usually the second verses are a little bit shorter and to the point, and then you go back to the pre and the chorus, and if you really, really have more to say, you do a bridge. And so that's why my second verse is short. It's just a continuation of how I felt. I see all of these headlines, and I mean, they're really sad headlines. I mean, can you imagine waking up for a whole year? This is our reality, waking up for a whole year to headlines about some, you know, some shooting, some act of domestic terrorism every other day. And it's really sad. And a lot of people like to grab you in with their headlines. And that's why I started the verse off with, I'm tired of clickbait. I'm tired of lies. I'm tired of seeing all these people dying. Whether they look like me or not, people's lives are sacred. And I don't want to wake up with that kind of information every day. So, you know, I'm tired of seeing all these people dying. I thought we'd come so far, but the pain's just under the rug. How hard is it to show me empathy? The cool part about songwriting is, well, I don't know that you're going to always be consistent, but if you can figure out how to always write a great pre and a great chorus that people want to hear again, after you write that second verse, that second pre and chorus really says so much more than it did the first time. And I was grateful that, in my opinion, I wrote a second verse that said what I needed to say and then went back into what really needs to be said in both the pre and the chorus. So yeah, I love folk music. Folk and spirituals are very closely related. And so, you know, starting off with this drone, starting off with an open fifth, writing a melody that's very folky, paying homage to the very American musical tradition in a song about a lot of American traditions. Yeah, it just felt right to me. So I hope this helped give you some more insight on how I wrote Human, and also gave you some ideas in your own songwriting. Yeah, just write what you feel and try not to feel like you have to be confined to a formula, especially when you're writing a pop song, because that's not always the case. So thank you for listening. That is how I wrote Human.